Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Tried and Tested. I am your host, Tracey, and this is a relationship podcast and where we discuss millennial dating stories, issues, escapades, and things that we've all been through or things that we've heard about and the things that we can learn from. Obviously, dating as a millennial, we're in the year 2020 now, and we meet all types of people. A lot of people are looking for love. People are looking for fun. People are looking for just God knows what they're looking for. And so we all have a story to tell. And today we're going to discuss the topic of red flags. I do have the famous Ramon here with me today, who was my guest. And I thank you so much for coming, Ramon.
No problem.
Can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
So yeah, this is your boy Razor Ramon here from the world famous Razor Tours. You can check me out on Instagram at Razor3413. You can see all my stories, all my photos of just some of the wonderful tours that I've taken people on. I've taken people from all over the world, from the UK, from Jamaica, from Canada. They've all come with me and been on tour, so check me out and get a glimpse.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. So obviously, today the topic, like I said, is red flags, and for me, I consider a red flag to be something that is alarming, something that stops me in my tracks, something that I have to kind of remember about the person or the date that I'm on and kind of go back to it and find out, okay, would I go out on a date with this person again, or is it a wrap? And so I know that we all I can't even speak. I know that we all are raised differently. We all have different vocabularies, different definitions of words and things like that. So from your point of view as a man, what is your definition of a red flag when it comes to first dates?
I would have to agree with you. The red flag is definitely a warning. You know, it's something that stands out.
Warning.
Exactly, right? Exactly. You know, like something that stands out either in the behavior, the actions, in the communication from that person. So, for example, let's say, you know, or let me give you a story here. So I've been on a date with this one female, and you know, we were meeting at the place. I wasn't picking her up. So I was at the place, and she said, you know, I'll be there in 2 minutes. You know how 2 minutes goes, right? So yeah. 2 minutes goes by. Is that a red flag? No, not yet, but fine, right? Okay. So 2 minutes goes by. I'm waiting, and then 10 minutes goes by. 15 minutes goes by. I call her back. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? She's like, yeah. You know, I'm still at home. I'm like, you're still at home?
What?
Exactly.
And so, what time, like, how late was she already?
This is already 30 minutes late now.
Oh, wow,
wow. To the date. So I'm like, right away.
Was she black?
Let's not, you know,
I mean,
but she was.
I feel like, colored people time is definitely a real thing. CP
it is
time.
A real thing. But, I mean, I could see that for barbecues and, like, for other things, you know, showers. But, you know, you're going on a date.
Yeah.
You don't need to be late to try to impress me. Be there. You know? So, needless to say, she was an hour late. But, you know, she finally left and then got there. So I had to wait for an hour for her to get there. So to me, that's a red flag. You don't, you know, that's not, it didn't leave a good first impression for me, you know, being late like that. So
well, I mean, I definitely agree. I feel like for me, I'm a stickler for time, and I feel like it's respectful to be on time.
Absolutely.
I know, like, back in the day, I used to, you know, they would say a party starts at 9, and I used to get there at 9 o'clock, and people don't show up till like 11 or 12, and I'm like, so
that's
I'm
Caribbeans.
really, Caribbean, Africans, you know, that's what we do. But for me, time management, I would say, is definitely a red flag. I used to date a guy, and he was literally always late. Came looking mad regular. So it's like, what are you doing? Like, you weren't putting on makeup. Like, what in the world were you doing? But to me, I think that is a red flag, and I think it's strictly. I think that is definitely disrespectful. So I just want to rewind a little bit. So what do you consider to be a first date, first and foremost? What does that look like for you?
So for me, a first date will be something simple, you know, nothing over the top. You know, it could just be something where we're getting to know each other, where, you know, either we're on a walk or we're eating or...
Wait, so a first date would be on a walk?
It could be. I mean, it could start on a walk. You
Yeah.
know, maybe, you know, we're in New York City. Maybe we hit up Bryant Park. We walk around. We people watch a little bit. You know, maybe we do Central Park. You know, if it's spring, summer, you know, that could be how we started off.
So a first date is putting on your Fitbit and getting those steps in for the day.
Hey,
that's a red flag for me, but it's a cute idea.
It's a start. It's the start of the date.
Okay,
but,
okay.
You know, but ideally, it's going to be somewhere quiet, somewhere where we can chat, get to know each other. But you know, everyone always says yes, we go to dinner.
Okay.
But you know, we get you feel out this person, and then you determine where it's going to be. It could be a sport activity. It could be dinner. It could be something crazy.
Just something to kind of like, you know,
break the ice, get to know, get to know them a little bit deeper than the text and the calls. Yes.
Okay, so do you think a red flag would be? Well, I'm a woman, so I feel like for me, with the first date, a red flag is if you want to go to a club or a party or to the movies, because I feel like we're not able to physically speak in those settings. Like if you're in a dark club and you're dancing, like, so that to me is more or less like a red flag, because it's like, well, what are you looking for? You don't really want to hear what I have to say, you know, that kind of thing. And it's an environment where people can oftentimes be intoxicated or the lights are low. So to me, I think that's a red flag.
I definitely agree with you on that. The club and, you know, all that for first, that's definitely not the ideal way to go for a first date.
Yes, but I mean, you'll be surprised how many people do that. So, another example that I could say I had as a red flag, I remember I met this guy like at a lounge or something, and like he was really, really cute, and I'm like, okay, like, okay, so, and I remember like he told me straight up, like I think like that night, like we were texting, and he told me straight up, and he was like, well, you know, I'm not looking for anything serious at all. Like I'm just looking for, I guess, he was just trying to be physical. He's like, but it could later on lead to a relationship. And I thought that was a red flag on many different levels, because I feel like, yes, you may have been telling the truth, but the end of the statement was, the reality of it is you probably are not looking for a relationship, but you're trying to make it sound like something that is better than what you're actually trying to package and offer. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think like that for me as well, like is definitely a red flag. And also, so have you ever had any issues with lying?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the example or story that I gave you at first, you 2 minutes away, or you still getting dressed, you know, putting the makeup on. So, yeah, I definitely had issues with lying. I think we all end up lying a little bit, you know, in the early stages of dating. So, I see you making faces. What happened? No lie? Right, so, you don't lie?
No, I feel like people do kind of like, I guess, extend, what is it? Is it extend the truth or extend a lie?
Extend the small truth.
Yes, but that's not the kind of lying I'm referring to. Okay. I'm talking about completely fabricated stories.
That's the whole,
people who are literally like a pathological liar.
Yeah, that's
and I'm gonna give you an example. I went on a date to like some Portuguese restaurant or something in Newark. The guy was just like giving me all of this unwarranted information, things I don't care about, things that I don't need to know. And I thought, like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, wow, like this food is good, but he's lying. And it's just
so let me ask you, how'd you know he was lying?
Because it was just like you were telling me too many stories. Like, let me give you the actual examples of what he said. So first he talked about how his aunt is bedridden and she is sick with cancer.
Oh, wow.
She has an $11,000 hospital bill, and he needs to pay it. And I'm thinking like, okay, that's weird. Like, why do you need to pay it? But anyway, then he showed me the bill, and it's like, well, why are you showing me the bill?
On a date?
You showed me the bill.
Okay.
And then he talked about, I think his cousins got killed, and, you know, those, like, it's just,
that's possible, though.
It's possible, and I did give him the benefit of the doubt, but the reality of it is that, like, you're coming here and you're not really looking for a date, you're looking for help. Right? Because typically when people dump their problems on you, which is what that's considered, dumping, you're looking for some type of assistance. You know what I mean? Whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is, because sympathy will lead to you asking for money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to me, that's a major red flag, because even if anything, you're trying to impress the person on the first date.
Absolutely.
And so there are things that you keep hidden, things that you keep buried, you know, that nobody needs to really know about.
So he was playing the victim essentially in that whole
yes
thing. You saw right through it.
Yes, that kind of thing is definitely, it's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
So what about if you have a woman who uses the phone too much, like during the day? Is that a turn off? Is that a red flag when she's like, maybe she's texting people the whole day, her face is buried in the phone, or maybe she's taking selfies and videos? Like, what is your thoughts on that?
We live in such a technological, age now. I say it is a red flag and it isn't. You have to know how to balance it, because I'm in my phone as well, but you need to know how to balance. If I'm on a date with you, I'm not going to be on the phone, trying to do selfies and do all these other things. There's a time and place when we can pull the phone out, take a picture, and, have that moment or that kind of thing. But I'm not one of those that are going to be so lost up in the phone and, always, is that person insecure, or are they self-absorbed, so.
Or not interested in you.
Or not, there you go. So I'm going to be, taking notes and watching that for sure.
So that definitely leads me to my next point. I know that, as you know, women love food, right? So obviously when you're going on a date, are you the kind of person that asks the woman like where she wants to go, or do you choose the restaurant?
So with choosing, I feel like you always have to communicate with the person that you're going out with. So you gotta basically see what they, get her feedback or her input to see what she wants to do. Because let's say, I am a meat eater, I'm a carnivore, and I want to do all this and get me a Peter Luger steak and this and that, but she's a vegan and she does no meat. So it's gonna look bad if I'm like, yeah, we're going to Peter Luger for steaks and this and that, and she can't, eat steak or.
Okay, so about preferences.
So, exactly.
All right. So the reason why I asked is because obviously, like, you have some men who are cheap dates and they want to take you to Starbucks, Starbucks, and they want to throw in dessert, with your coffee, and they feel like,
But that might not be that bad.
That to me is a red flag, though. I feel like if you, respect the woman, take her somewhere maybe that she can't go on her own, but not somewhere so upscale. But I have heard instances where, like, for a first date, a woman expects a man to take her to a 10-star restaurant, okay? And mind you, you don't know the person, you don't know anything about them. And so to you, is that a red flag if she chooses a restaurant like Delmonico's or Bobby Van's, for the first date?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a red flag, but just to go back to your Starbucks, I think that we can go to Starbucks and have an amazing first date.
Oh,
we can get
cute.
some nice, coffee, cappuccino, tea, whatever it is.
No.
Get you a little bisco scone or, a little cake, and we sit in the back and chop it up for an hour. But that, to me, that could be a real deep, intimate conversation. We're focused on each other.
Yes.
It's our coffee and our little snack. That's it.
But by definition, that is a conversation, not a date. That's just my opinion. But that would be a red flag if someone tried to take me to a coffee shop. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So, actually, the reason why this question came up is because there was an instance, some blog I used to read, and the guy was saying that he was taking this beautiful young lady out on a date in the city, and I think the restaurant that he chose, like, she was like, no, like, I don't want to go there, like, that's not for me. And so he went with her to whatever restaurant she chose, and he said when they got there, he really wasn't that hungry anyway, but I think he ordered something, like something tiny, like, I don't know, some chicken, whatever. And he was saying that the woman ordered like lobster and she wanted top shelf liquor and she was throwing it back. You know what I mean? So with that instance or whatever, he started to realize that, like, she's here to use me. You know what I mean? Which I think happens a lot. I think that's a red flag for men.
Definitely, yeah.
And so in that instance, he called the waiter over and he asked for separate checks. And when he asked for separate checks, she was looking like she saw a ghost, and then you're right. I'm like, but, you don't do that. I feel like using people is definitely a red flag. But she, I guess, then tried to excuse herself to the bathroom and try to slip out the door. What? And the man called the waiter over like, hey, she's trying to slip out on her bill. But so have you had instances like that where people try to use you?
No, you have some instances where they try to, get by on a few dates, but nothing crazy like that where they try to slip out or take them back. All of mine have pretty much been in moderation, thank goodness. But Yeah, that's definitely a crazy story. I don't think I had
Yeah.
anybody really try to go to town with the lobster and the steak and then try to escape out the back.
And the aged liquor.
Yeah.
Like expensive, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
nothing like that.
Do you feel like on a date, like do you kind of gauge and see like what she orders compared to you? Like, is that also a red flag just by the type of food that you order? Do you feel like if she wants the most expensive item, menu items, and you want something like regular, is that like an issue at all, or you just feel like, hey, eat what you want?
It is. On the first date, maybe it could be a red flag. You want to kind of just keep it, simple. Kind of go through it.
Yes.
I don't want to be taken advantage of, but it happens out there. The women will come out, try to get themselves some fine wine, some top shelf, and the works.
Yes.
Especially if they think, you own your own company or you have your own business. This guy's got it, so I'm going to get whatever I want. But, you got to read each person differently. But it's definitely a red flag out there because there's a lot of women that are out there just eating these guys up.
Yeah. All right, so I mean, obviously the man is the provider in situations, right? And the woman is the one who is in need, allegedly. But so what do you think about, like, let's say you're out on a date and she ordered her whole meal, and then she also wants to order a whole meal to go.
Whoa.
Do you feel like that's an issue, or like is that a red flag? Or
red flag.
And what's the red flag? Is it because she's greedy, or what do you think it is?
I mean, it's one thing we have in a meal, but then to have it to go, I mean, what's going on here?
Okay.
I mean, if I'm picking it up, I mean, and we're not like exclusive like that.
Yeah.
I'm not here to like feed you for the next day kind of thing. This is for right now. That's a red flag.
So you would look at her sideways, kind of like, hey.
Very sideways. Okay. Like, you greedy, little.
Okay.
For like, you didn't just slow your roll.
Oh, okay. All right. No.
Sorry.
No. So all right. So what about have you ever had a situation where somebody asked you for money? Maybe they wanted cab fare to go home, or maybe they had to pick something up on the way. Is that a red flag to you for someone to ask you for money so early on? Or maybe they had a bill to pay, and like the guy who was talking about all his issues with his hospital bills and things, and that kind of thing. Like, do you feel like it's a red flag when somebody is so easily able to ask you for finances and they don't even know you?
Yeah, it's definitely a red flag. I mean, you give it to them that they're bold and, they...
Trifling. That's trifling. I'm sorry. There's no accolades for asking for money on a first date, guys.
Really not an accolade, but, they're not beating around their bush. They checking to see. And then, it's on you if you actually give it to them.
Yes.
So...
But
it's a red flag.
I feel like that would allow you to kind of know that this is probably what they're looking for. They're looking for help.
Exactly.
And not for love, which is another topic, guys. But, all right. And so my last question for you, in regards to red flags, have you ever come across women who, kind of like pre-plan events? And when I say pre-planned events, like, let's say you're out on a date today, you may not know how you feel about her, but she's already have you lined up for the family barbecue next week or next month, and you're her date to her cousin's, junior prom. Yeah, like that kind of thing. Like, is that a red flag to you when someone's rushing pretty much? And before you answer that also, because I was going to say rushing to the altar, but you do have women who, on the first date, they're going to let you know, I want to be married in 6 months. I want this. I want that. So have you, with all those instances where people are pretty much shoving, things down your throat as far as what they want, is that a red flag to you? And has that happened to you before?
Yeah, well, I think... See, I got to be careful how I answer this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think women in general are planners. So it's one thing to plan, the next couple dates, but to plan me with the family and, the barbecue, everything so fast.
Yeah.
Let's hit the brakes a little bit.
Okay.
So, either I agree or, I'm really feeling like that's where we're going.
Gotcha.
So,
yes.
Yeah, it's a red flag. You just have to, you got to pace it, but I can't really fault the women. Women are planners. They're not about the BS. They're going to make sure that their stuff is planned out, and if you with me, you with me, and that they're gonna find out. You know what I mean? They're gonna find out real quick.
If you with him, you with him.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
all right. So
yeah, they can I don't mind the planning, but it's all in moderation. You just gotta time it out. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds good. That, the information that you gave was very insightful, and I thank you from the male point of view. And I also thank you so much for being my guest on my show today. So once again, let them know your Instagram handle. And guys, he is a tour guide in New York City if you're ever looking for one. So what is it?
It's Razor 3413. So it's RAZOR 3413.
All right, thank you Thank you so much, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, have a good one.